Hello everyone, and welcome to Kareniya's Room. The first season of anime for 2024 is in the books, and as per usual, then comes the anticipation and excitement for the latest that the anime industry has to offer. Winter has given us some great shows and helped kick 2024 off to a good start, with some of my favorites including Season 2 of The Dangers in My Heart, Delicious in Dungeon, Solo Leveling, and even gushing over Magical Girls. What a show that last one is. And I would have had a bit of a time talking about this show, just understanding how lewd it can be, and with how YouTube may not exactly like it, if I'm talking about the show, to be honest with you. But with winter ending and spring on its way, it's time to jump back into the realm of new anime and discuss what I will be watching for spring 2024. As it goes in these videos, I still give every new show a chance, even if only for one episode, so this is more or less just a highlight of what I am most anticipating. If there's something you don't see in this video, it's either I haven't seen the original if it pertains to a sequel, or at least more than one season in the case of these ones, in particular My Hero Academia, I've only seen season 1, or these other shows just personally didn't jump out to me to cover. Remember this, I am mostly a bigger fan of romance, slice of life, and mystery. I still love some battle shonen as well, and other stuff in between, but these are my biases and I hope you'll understand that much. Without further ado though, let's highlight some shows I will be watching for the spring season, shall we? First up, one of the most anticipated sequels to one of the more noteworthy series of the past 10 years, in my personal opinion anyway, KonoSuba Season 3. This has been some time in the making, with our most recent installation to the main series being the 2019 movie Legend of Crimson. Since then, we've had the relatively enjoyable but not quite as good Megumin spin-off anime, but nothing as far as mainline story content since 2019 as far as anime or movies go. Animated this time around by Studio Drive, who had recently directed the Megumin spin-off, as well as Season 2 of To Your Eternity, we will be jumping into events following the end of the Legend of Crimson movie, and we will be seeing the return of our favorite cast of idiots as they journey on and on from the events of the movie. And since I'm not a light novel reader, I essentially am not sure of what to expect beyond what the trailers have given us. What we can see though, it looks like we're in store for something interesting with the arrival of Iris, a young princess who I've seen around in discussions on the series honestly for some time now, so we will have that at least. A new character is always a good way to shake up a dynamic. Otherwise, the show definitely maintains that KonoSuba art style that we all know and love, the over-the-top comedy, and a decent handling of fan service that has been present throughout the show. And from the trailers, I will say, on that last point, as a big Darkness fan, we will be eating good this season. Don't really have much more to say other than I'm happy the third season is upon us, and I will be watching every week and enjoying it, full stop. Anyways, our next show to highlight is our fourth installment, or season if you prefer, of Demon Slayer, covering the Hashira training arc. Once again in the hands of Studio Ufotable, we will be returning to Taisho era Japan and continuing on from the end of Season 3. Spoiler warnings for those who haven't seen the Swordsmith Village arc, obviously, but following the end of Season 3 with the revelation that Nezuko has become the first demon to be immune to the effects of sunlight, this has naturally set off alarm bells for our big bad Muzan, who himself lacks this power. In utter bliss at the news, he makes it his sworn goal to devour Nezuko and gain the one thing that would make him practically unbeatable: the ability to conquer that. But I'm happy that we're getting more of this series, absolutely, because it has been a fun watch this whole time around. The final scene in the last season, plus the long-awaited return of Nezuko's actual speaking abilities, are absolutely fantastic, and I had been waiting to see how this would come out into action, not just in the manga, but now into the anime form, and I was not disappointed for the latter. Seeing her return to her being able to speak is so good, and it gives her a lot more chance to be a more fully fleshed out character after the 3 seasons we've had where she's basically been mute. But anyway, that's what I'll say about that, and let's see if I can say the same about this season that I had for Season 3, which was I'm excited and it's going to be fun. Next up, we have Mushoku Tensei Season 2 Part 2. So, naturally as the title goes, this is the continuation from the first half of Season 2 that we received at, I believe it was summer last year, once again under the realm of Studio Bind. Season 2 gave us admittedly some kind of underwhelming episodes in some parts of it, certainly, compared to Season 1, of which Part 2 is especially my favorite. Part 2 of Season 1 was an absolute treat, but it was also a really interesting ending that had me desperate to see where we will go from here. Spoilers are obviously, but we had just finished through the journey of Rudeus, now on his own after being split from Eris and Ruijerd at the end of Season 1 Part 2, and he makes his way throughout his continued journey to find his mother, alongside meeting various people and parties that are helping him along the way and who we get to know a little bit over the course of the first few episodes. During this, his adventures eventually lead him into the acceptance of a magic academy, where he makes some new friends and even runs into a couple of old ones as well. Well, I use friends a bit loosely in regards to the Doldias, which are these two, but we do run into folks like Prince Zenova, the very eccentric prince who very much loves Rudeus's figures, Elena Lees, the ever-so-loving elf woman who has a fiendish desire of sex, to put it one way, and a mysterious white-haired elf named Fitz, which is pretty clear to everyone watching that it's Sylphiette. The white hair bit, though, is explained in the pre-Season 2 OVA specifically around Fitz, so if you are curious about why that is the case, definitely give that one a watch before you watch Season 2 Part 1, and especially Season 2 Part 2, so do definitely watch that. Part of Season 2's plotline also centers around Rudeus and his dysfunctions in a part of the male anatomy, which is more prone to people in later adulthood.
Insight, the effective, reliable way to natural male enhancement,
let's say, which can have its traces back to the events at the end of Season 1, where Eris left his party, and obviously there's more to it than that, but simplicity's sake. These are the woes that are kind of eventually, I wrote conquered here, but eventually overcome once the reveal of Fitz as Sylphiette, and a helpful handing of an aphrodisiac, mind you, come into play. That seems to be resolved pretty quickly, let's say. The two have relations, for the first time, putting it very lightly, and rekindle a childhood bond that was once there between the two, culminating, in the very last episode, in Rudeus desiring to make Sylphiette his wife. And when I heard that, I was so excited. With all this context, Part 2 of this season will continue on from there, and it looks like we'll be seeing the return of some familiar faces we haven't really seen since Season 1 Part 2, in the likes of specifically Rudeus's sister Norm and his half-sister Aisha, both of which are sister and half-sister because Paul is the father, but it's two different women. It's his wife and his maid. It makes sense if you watch the show, but he's kind of going around on his why. And we also see the return of Ruijerd, in the trailer at least. It could be a flashback, but he also could be in the actual season, I don't know. But it's always good to see him because he was a great rock of Season 1. Other than that, I'm not sure what else to expect, as I'm not a reader of the light novel, but whatever comes my way is surely going to be some quality entertainment. Second to last is the shortest I have to talk about on the list, but it's going to be a continuation of an anime that I've been long awaiting to be updated, and that is Hibike Euphonium Season 3. I will be upfront and say that since this is a sequel to the recent hour-long special that came out last year in April, plus the movie Our Promise: A Brand New Day, which I have not yet watched, but it is on Crunchyroll, so I'll always have the chance to watch it, I am not exactly familiar what is happening post-Season 2. So I'm going to be making an effort to actually watch the movie plus the special, if I can find it, and we will be caught up fully with what has happened after the events of Season 2. What I will say at the very least is that Hibike Euphonium is still one of my favorite music anime that I've seen, and one of the better adaptations that KyoAni has produced in its time, especially with Liz and the Bluebird in 2018. That is an absolutely beautiful movie. I'm putting this here in passing, but we will be watching this. I just have to get around to the other stuff I haven't caught up with. Finally, though, I will talk about something that I'm a lot more fresh in the mind about, and that is, in some people's minds anyway, the long-awaited anime adaptation for Blue Archive. I've not made it a secret that I'm a Blue Archive fan. I've recently used the OST in some of my videos, and I've had edits in my videos involving Blue Archive characters, which I will give a special recognition to Blue Seichi, for the dancing Momoes that I used in the Best and Worst of 2023 video. He makes some great silly animations and I cannot recommend him enough, though he doesn't exactly need my recommendation because he's at least over 100,000 subscribers and he is one of the most well-known Blue Archive channels out there. Still watch him though, because his stuff is fantastic. The game itself is mostly revolving around Sensei, who is just the player, controlling a cast of characters called students into battle with various mobs, monsters, and mechs. Alliteration! We get a pretty expansive story, which as of March 2024, which is when the script is being written, is up to Volume 4, as well as a final volume for the first arc of the story, so technically there's 5 parts to it. But it's more of like a side part here, and it's not really the full main line, because we are getting a Chapter 5 at some point soon this year, so fantastic. As for the anime, however, by the looks of what characters both appear in the trailers and on websites like MyAnimeList that list characters and VAs and whatnot, it will either be a retelling of the events of Chapter 1 of the game's story, which surrounds Abydos High School and the students involved with it, or it could veer off into another course and we'll get a slice of life kind of series, which also revolves around Abydos High. Besides the Sensei, which is us, and Arona, a cute AI girl who lives within the Sensei's tablet called the Shatim Chest, we are introduced to the only 5 remaining students left in Abydos High. If you want to know why there's only 5, we can explain it later. Who are Shiroko Sunaokami, Hoshino Takanashi, Serika Kuromi, Nonami Izayoi, and Ayane Okusora. These 5 you see here on the screen, respectively in order. We will also be receiving appearances by members of Gehenna Academy, in the form of a special unit called Problem Solver 68, who are mostly a 4-piece ensemble of goofballs who will come into contact with Abydos and later on be companions as well. Chapter 1 of the story is pretty well loved, not only since it's our first memories of the story and introduction to some of the characters that we all know and love, but because the cast itself is very endearing and they gel very well together and have a lot of funny and also very heartwarming moments that come into the story, especially later on as we get into chapters 3 and 4, and especially Volume F as well for some of them. So we get a lot of time to enjoy these characters and whatnot. But I'll leave it at there because I think the Blue Archive story is better explored on your own. Though if you are curious about it because you don't maybe want to play the game, I do recommend checking out the channel owned by Yumie Tsuchinoko, who is kind of a snake lady VTuber. She makes absolutely gargantuan videos about Blue Archive lore, generally about 3 hours long, and they are absolutely fantastic. They are a very great piece if you're into the lore of Blue Archive. Otherwise, I'd recommend just watching videos about Blue Archive and seeing if you were interested in the game at all. Editing me wants to point out this part of the Blue Archive community, just so you know it's there. But if not, you can always check out the anime and kind of get a taste for the characterization of Abydos High and Problem Solver 68, who are in Chapter 1 of the story. And if you like it, come join us and be one of the senseis who are playing the game constantly. Otherwise, I don't have much else to say other than I'm very excited to see Blue Archive finally get a proper anime, since only up till now we've gotten a few short specials that they release every so often in anniversaries, and while those are good, it doesn't quite get us to the point of a full anime. Kind of like the teases they've been giving us for the Genshin anime, which is still MIA since 2022. No information about that. Otherwise though, that's all I have to say about that one, and as soon as this is airing, I'm going to say very much there will be a lot of happy senseis very soon, myself included. And with that, this is where I will end this video. I don't know if this video is shorter or longer as of the writing of the script. As of the recording, it is a lot shorter than my previous ones, but I didn't want to pad out the video too long anyway. Like I said before, I will still be watching everything coming out this season. Granted, once again, they're not sequels to stuff I haven't seen yet, so if your particular show didn't make it into the video, I will still be checking it out and seeing if we will watch it or not. Tell me any shows you will be watching in the comments below, and I'll be happy to get back to you. My name is Kareniya, and don't forget, you're always welcome in Kareniya's room. See ya!